Grateful Dead clothing world, it's very difficult to set yourself apart from the pack.
Yeah.
It is not an easy feat, and our friends over at Shop Tour Bus have done just that. I urge you to head over to shoptourbus.com or at Shop Tour Bus on Instagram. Take a look at what they're doing, man. It is different than any other Grateful Dead apparel out there, period.
They have a new addition to their apparel, which is a coffee mug and an updated sticker pack to their repertoire of awesome Grateful Dead inspired lyrical songs told in clothing.
No, first of all, you can't wear a coffee cup. I guess you could wear a sticker if you wanted. That's not
I said they
that's
added
merch.
well, yeah, but like they're because it's an
Coffee
apparel
cup would
brand.
make a cute little hat.
It can
Okay.
absolutely.
Sure.
But
Anyway,
I mean,
Or
if
you can like put a necklace around it and like hold it around like
it's
Okay.
Like
if you're
Flavor Flav used to
tired
do?
of having that same old steely shirt that everybody has, this is where you can go find something that stands out. It raises questions. Every time I wear mine, people are like, "That is dope. What is it?"
go over and take a look at what they're doing. ShopTourBus.com. And hey, your order comes in a hand-designed box with a Grateful Dead lyric on the inside. And some of you are even going to get a Grateful Dead cassette tape bootleg miracle in your order. And you're getting free shipping when you put in the promo code
No Simple Road, which is all one word.
when you're checking out. Put that in. You're going to get free shipping from the family over at Shop Tour Bus. No Simple Road is stoked to have Sunset Lake CBD back with us as our sponsor. Sunset Lake is the real deal. If you've looked around trying to find CBD and it just didn't do what it was supposed to do, this is the place you need to go. They've got every kind of product you can imagine, including CBD tinctures with sleep gummies that are great for getting to bed, CBD gummy bears and reishi-infused chews that can help bring you a little bit of calm in a stressful day. They've got salve. They've got smokable hemp flower that's great for folks like me that don't want to get stoned and paranoid but want to have the benefits of cannabis. Well, now you got it. And they even carry CBD products for your pets, man. I'm saying this is Darwin approved stuff. Go over to sunsetlakecbd.com and check out the full range of what they have. This is Vermont grown, right to your door, and they're giving you 20% off. So put in the promo code NSR20 when you're checking out. You're going to get 20% off your whole order. And I know you're going to love it. They even have subscription options open for you, so you don't forget to get your medicine. Go check out Sunset Lake CBD, everybody. It does seem like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like we did this one like back in December.
We
The
recorded.
beginning of this year feels like 2 years ago.
Well, this is true. Hey now, No Super Road family. This is Aaron.
This is Apple.
And it's Mel here.
And we are back for another fantastical, mystical, magical, wonderful episode of No Simple Road. We are thrilled that you are here and allowing us into the cosmic space between your ear holes.
Thanks for coming back.
Speaking of magical, where'd Darwin go?
He's right behind us.
Oh,
The dog is laying behind
he
me.
disappeared. I was like, what?
Yeah, the dog now can phase shift out of reality and into.
likes it.
No,
I think he
Yeah.
likes this new setup because he can have more free reign. There's not as many wires.
True. Yeah. So, hey, everybody,
Aaron's room
speaking
for
of wires, our guest this week has nothing to do with wires.
No, he has everything to do with self-enlightenment, though.
Yep, that's right. Our guest this week is none other than Cesar Marin of cultivatingwisdom.net. You may know him from some things such as Instagram and all the other places that you've seen him all over the place.
And you'll hear it here. I've never heard anybody speak so passionately about mushrooms and the psychedelic experience. And you're going to hear it till he came to it late in life at 54 years old, having his first experience at 54.
Let's stop for just a second. Like, obviously, if you're new to listening to No Simple Road, if you couldn't tell by looking at the logo and the guest list and all that.
You can't tell anything by the logo.
Sure you can. Anyway, it may be evident that, we have done psychedelics in the past. And, my first psychedelic experience was in my teens. Can you guys imagine coming to psychedelics in your late 40s, mid 40s, or early 50s?
No,
Apple.
No, I am 54 right now. Like if I had my first experience this year, like in a way, I think that'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, this is like a new thing because it's been a huge part of my life. But then what would my life have been without it? Because it is very therapeutic.
What about you, Mel? What do you think?
I think that I definitely could have gone without, but I would have to have had a whole different life. And
No, that's
partner.
not what I mean. Not that you could go without. Like, can you imagine finding it now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Especially with this like resurgence. I'd be interested if I didn't know. Like, I'd be like, dude, people are doing microdosing and going to work, and like people in Silicon Valley, they're taking LSD. Like, I've always been interested, even before I never did psychedelics when I was younger, like a teenager or anything. But I was always interested in like Woodstock and hippie culture.
Okay, so you were curious.
Yeah. Well, I was just like, yeah, exactly, curious. Like, what is that whole mind expansion thing? Like, how do you do it? Like, what is it? Why?
Well, if you're curious,
what and
how
why?
to do it, let's hear from Cesar. No, yeah, man, I can't even imagine. By the time you're in your 50s, the routines and programs that run in our heads are so firmly ensconced and entrenched. We have lived, over half a century by that point.
That's why I think it's so pivotal.
Yeah,
for
of
this.
doing the default mode network, and to have that torn away or gently lifted, or however it happens.
Yeah, reassembled.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great time to be discovering it because like the world, our country and the world is waking up to this right now.
Yeah,
There's
it's
so
not a
many,
secret.
There is a groundswell.
so many people coming around of all classes and everything. It's very interesting time.
It is an interesting time, and it's a great time if you have done this, and this is kind of what cultivating wisdom is, like to find other people maybe later in life that haven't done it with you.
Right. It would be,
like they'll be more open about it instead of hiding it like as in the past.
It would be very strange at 52 years old to have a psychedelic experience, realize that I'm becoming a different person, and then have to find the others.
Yeah, find community
that are my age
and willing to share their experiences.
Because if you're in your 50s and you've never done that, you're probably working in a job that doesn't support that, or your friend group most likely has read about it only in magazines or seen it on TV, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's definitely fringe.
Yep. And so what the work that Cesar's doing is incredible.
That's why I said enlightenment, because he's helping other people become enlightened to a new possibility in these later years of your life. Not like you're still not dead.
Hey,
you
man,
still have a lot of life.
Best years of my life.
I didn't say they weren't the best, but they're later. They're
That's
not
true.
earlier.
No, they are not
Well,
earlier.
his whole approach to this too, you'll hear it in here, but you have to go check out, like Mel had said, the cultivatingwisdom.net, but that takes you to the Cultivating Wisdom shop, and he created shirts to start conversations that aren't like, they're not tie-dyes and all psychedelic with that old spin of like, whoa, man.
Yeah, he talks about that.
Like the one, it's like Scrabble tiles and it just says microdosing.
Hey, what's
They're
that
like,
mean?
They're like conversation starters for people.
That's really cool.
That's
man.
really taking into account somebody's sensitivity to that other side, because it seems extreme. If you're like an average person who, doesn't really, partake in psychedelics or, recreational drug use, you may that other way of living, like, being on the road, all that, they might not even be aware that exists.
Right. Yeah. No, I get
so
it.
This is a very approachable and like real way to find out where the others are, how you incorporate this into your life at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though he hasn't been doing psychedelics for so long, psychedelics like catch you up.
Yeah, and then you get introduced to weirdos like us.
Yeah.
And you come hang out with us too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cesar, thank you so much for coming on the show, being interested and sharing some time with us. It was really eye-opening. And we didn't talk about our float tank experience, but after we had this interview with Cesar, you and I went to a float tank experience.
Oh yeah, it was something else.
And I microdosed at my float tank experience,
which we will share in an upcoming episode of the No Simple Road Weekly Rewind. We will share the whole thing.
But what I'm gonna say is, stop stopping me, because this is the second time you stopped me now.
Can't stop her.
But the second time, what I wanted to say was he was present during that session because he was fresh in my mind. And a lot, Cesar, grew up in a, Latin family. And so that kind of undercurrent was in my experience that day.
Wow.
And he was, kind of present since we had just talked to him.
I wonder if he knows he was present.
Well, he will know now when
he
listens.
True. You're true.
And it was very pivotal, Cesar. So in another episode, you have to stay tuned to what happened. But
yeah, that's called what do you call that?
A teaser?
Yeah, it's a teaser for later. So everybody, we are going to get you off into the wild blue yonder of this conversation with Cesar Marin. But first, we're going to do the business of No Simple Road real quick. Follow No Simple Road at No Simple Road on Facebook and Instagram. You can go to our website. On our website is a calendar of events where you can come hang out with us. There's shows that we're going to, festivals that we're going to be appearing at, things like that. You can get a tarot reading by Mel and I.
That's right.
We've got merch up there, and we have a newsletter sign up, all that stuff, so you can stay in touch with the No Simple Road family through the website. And then you can go to patreon.com/No Simple Road. Now, here's the deal. I've been saying this for a few weeks now. No Simple Road now costs $1 a month, but it is on the honor system. So if you feel honorable, head over to patreon.com/No Simple Road and sign up for $1, man.
Be honorable. Be honorable.
There's all kinds of
I just want to mention, we have had several people sign up recently.
Yes, we have.
So thank you to Ben. Thank you to Grateful Mountain.
Yep.
And was there one more?
That's it.
All right. So thank you for being on the honor system
That's right.
and showing us your love. That's amazing.
There's all kinds of extra content over there. You're getting the Friday episodes ad-free and early for signing up. Also, there's all kinds of great music picks by our friend Andrew, and our No Simple Road archivist Connor is picking the deepest, fattest, juiciest cuts of the Grateful Dead and Jerry Garcia band over there on patreon.com/No Simple Road.
No Simple Road.
What else am I missing?
Tepid line.
971-808-1524. That is where you can call No Simple Road and say whatever the hell you want. And I mean that.
Well, and are you going to play that one?
Yeah.
Because this is very special.
We have a very special
It's a two-parter, and we'll talk about it after you listen, because this is just special.
Hey, y'all. This is Ben. I left you guys a review a while back, and I just got the art piece that Mel sent me. It's incredible. It really is. I don't know what I was expecting at all, but I'm blown away. My expectations, however small they were certainly exceeded. This is really, I'm just very grateful for you guys and for what you do and for the care that you guys put in everything. It's just really meaningful to me, and I just wanted to extend some gratitude, extend some love to you all. I don't know if you guys, this is kind of random, I don't know if you guys keep up with the Biscuits at all, but their new album that they put out, the animation for it really is quite reminiscent of this art piece that y'all sent, and I think that's an interesting kind of overlap, because I've been nonstop watching the new Biscuits movie, and now I have this own, and it kind of feels like I have a little piece of it now. It's a very similar kind of collage-y thing, but it's just really dope, and you guys are really dope, and I'm really happy to have a little piece of NSR that I can put on my wall and think positive thoughts about and be, connected to the show in that way. And I owe you guys a Patreon subscription. I'm going to get on that as soon as I can. So yeah, keep doing what you do. Thank you very much. And yeah, you guys are the best.
Okay, there's a part 2. We're going to continue on with this. Maybe if I can push the button.
All right, this is Ben again. I kind of had one more thought I wanted to give to y'all. That sort of like the note that Mel left on the back of this picture. She said the music maker is one who can transport people to the outer edges of the universe. And I think I just wanted to say that that's really what you guys are doing too. I mean, as much as a podcast is sort of a cut and dry kind of not that psychedelic thing, it really, the way y'all do it is there's more to it than just the words. There's a lot of, energy being thrown around and a lot of kind of overlaid specialness that you guys inject with your tone of voice. That you can see, like everything about it just seems kind of tailored really to the same end that jam music is tailored to. It's you guys achieve the same destination that the dead achieve, or the fish. You get to the same place by talking sometimes. It's remarkable to watch. You guys have this improvised conversation that crescendos into such a universal peak, for lack of a better word. And I don't know. I read that little note and I thought that was exactly what you guys are doing, and I just wanted to emphasize that, because it is special that you've cracked the code of podcasting to turn it into kind of a psychedelic thing, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, that's all I have to say this time. Maybe I'll call you back again in another minute or two with another thought, but you guys are the best.
Ben, you can call back any time you want.
You're the best. First off, I just got to say, Ben, I love your voice, dude. Your voice is so sincere and calming. I just had to throw that out there, and what high praise.
And that was really rad, that just the whole thing, the fact that you're watching that Disco Biscuits movie and you said that it's reminiscent. We recently, in a future episode, had John Barber on. So
yeah,
that was weird that you told us about that backstory, because we have had him sitting for a week or two, maybe even a little bit longer than that, to come out in a future episode. So yeah, we did know about it, but it wasn't in my thoughts to make you anything that was reminiscent of that. I saw that that's not an alien, it's an astronaut, and I just had these, I don't know, it came together pretty quick, except it took me a while to put it together. You know what I mean? Like the pieces I found for the project fairly quickly, but how I wanted to do it and the cutting and all that. And yeah, man, I appreciate you saying that and being so thoughtful about it.
What he said about us taking conversation to the same place as fish and the dead, that is extremely kind and high praise, and I don't take that lightly. So Ben, thank you so much for saying that, brother. I that means the world to me. I hope you understand what that means to hear that.
It's a great perspective, because now I all look at like Aaron just did a solo right there. Aaron just went on a little jam, and then like when we're all talking back and forth, it's like us playing, and then everybody takes a solo.
Hearing him say that made me think about having the conversations that we have differently, because I remember Garcia saying that every show can't be a home run, and that sometimes he would think that the show sucked, and then we would listen back, it was great. And I feel like that about our conversations too. Sometimes we'll have them, I'm like, that one just didn't hit, and then I'll listen to it in the replay and I'm like, holy shit, that was
actually
amazing.
I have that very rarely. I think that, not that we're like the best, but I feel like our conversations really hit the spot 98% of the time.
In my head.
Yeah, and on a personal level,
or just like trying to keep the
flow
pace going and like just being a host, like trying to keep shit together. So I'm paying attention to everything, and when I can just let go and listen, then I hear what happened sometimes, which is weird. Anyway, Ben, thank you. That's how you use the
Yes.
tepid line, everybody. 971-808-1524.
And then followed through with the Patreon.
That's right. And here's the other thing you can do.
Leave us those reviews. We ask you to go over to Apple Podcasts and do it, but reviews can be left in many forms. There's Google reviews, whatever.
Tepid line.
Whatever you're using. You can send us emails. You can hit up the DM on the Instagram. Like, just let it talk to us.
Yeah.
Most importantly, though, is Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, because that gets the algorithm, that gets it to pop up in front of people so that people that haven't heard us can. And you can be part of making that happen by easily doing that.
Yep. And last but not least, we ask that you tell somebody that you love about No Simple Road. Turn them on, man. We'd appreciate it. And it helps the No Simple Road mycelial network family grow and the tendrils of our whole thing go out there. Oh, I didn't even realize that I did that.
So even if you're tuning in for the first time because you're a friend of Cesar's or you follow Cesar and you want to hear what he has to say, tell someone else about this episode that you think might be interested. Tell your 50-year-old uncle about it. Tell your coworker. Tell whoever you can.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
We're the
Put it on your
bee's knees.
Cat's pajamas. All right, everybody. That's it. We're done with the business. We are going to get you to this conversation with Cesar Toot Sweet. And that's that. Without further ado, the No Simple Road crew gives you
Cesar Marin.
Yeah. Rehearsal is good. You know what? It teaches us. We rehearse every day in our life for the next day in our life. So it's important for us to do that. So Cesar, because I was not recording correctly, can you please tell the people again who you are? What you do? I'm sorry, buddy.
Of course. No, of course. It would be my pleasure. So again, my name is Cesar Marin. I'm the founder and owner of Cultivating Wisdom. Cultivating Wisdom is something that was born out of my introduction to plant medicine. So I was a producer at CNN for 25 years before plant medicine came into my life. It completely changed my life, changed my perspective of who I am, changed how I'm present for the world.
Wow.
And it was crazy because I had never had a psychedelic experience before the age of 54. Again, I dabbled in different little things. I mean, I grew up in Miami in the 80s, so
you know about stuff.
Yes, I know about stuff. But for some reason, I guess because again, that stigma that existed, psychedelics were just never part of my world.
Huh.
And it was funny because psychedelics and plant medicine came into my life right when my life was going to get turned on its head. I mean, after being at CNN for 25 years, I was going to get laid off from CNN after it was bought out by the Discovery Channel. And plant medicine pretty much said, you know what? Don't worry about it. Keep your feet on the ground. Take a deep, deep breath. We're going to close this 25-year chapter that you had at CNN, and we're going to open up this brand new chapter. So it was just amazing how plant medicine was able to help me reinvent myself at the age of 55, when a lot of people are going through this, you know what, life is almost over. I'm stuck here. We'll see where we are. I'll, retire in 10 years and everything will be fine. But the plant medicine really told me, you know what? Don't worry. You're going to have a different life. You're going to have a different outlook on life. You're going to have a different way of conducting yourself and being present for who you are and people around you. So it's been an amazing year and a half since plant medicine came into my life. Now, I created this platform, this Cultivating Wisdom platform, for two reasons. One, so that people can manifest the fact that they're using psychedelics without it being, again, trippy or psychedelic-ish or tie-dye. And not that there's anything wrong with it. I love tie-dye. But if I want to have an honest conversation with someone who has no clue about this, if I'm sitting there with tie-dye stuff on, they're going to get the wrong impression, right? So the idea was to create apparel that's conversational, that we can wear something like this that says microdosing, right? That starts conversations, or different types of apparel that, at least elicits conversation without, again, having that stigma, oh, this guy's a stoner, or this guy's out in the woods, or this guy's going to whatever. And, that's again, what I want to have is honest, open conversations about psychedelics, and especially for people over 50, especially for people my generation, that someone can see someone like me and say, oh, wait, he's got gray hair. I have gray hair. He's been divorced. I've been divorced. He lost his job. I lost my job. His kids are grown up. My kids are grown up. That there's this relatability that people say, you know what? He was where I am right now. That's where he was 12 months ago, a year and a half ago, and look at how he's thriving. So it's been an incredible year and a half filled with incredible memories, meeting incredibly wonderful people like you guys, And I'm living the best day of my life every single day.
Are you sitting at home and you're sad that you couldn't go on spring tour for fish or whatever? Well, I got the cure for you. Head over to Northbound Coffee Roasters. They have their own spring tour going on with coffees from all over the place. This is the best damn coffee on the planet, period. Northbound Coffee Roasters is family owned and operated.
Ooh.
They're out of Mount Shasta, California. They have a combined 22 years of coffee experience, and the owners, Keith and Jen, have 600 plus Grateful Dead and Fish shows between the two of them.
Wow.
They specialize in specialty organic coffees. They have a huge variety of roast profiles, blends, and single origin offerings to match the taste of just about anybody who enjoys a cup of coffee. Head over to northboundcoffee.com to learn more. Place your order today. They ship anywhere in the U.S., and their coffees are always roasted to order to ensure that you get the dopest, freshest cup. Use the code NOSIMPLEROAD at checkout for free shipping on your first order any size, anywhere in the U.S., and make sure to sign up for their newsletter, man, so you get those extra deep discounts and all kinds of news from them. It is literally the best stuff you can put in your coffee cup. Trust me, I've tried them all.
Yeah, this has changed our mornings.
Yeah, and our afternoon and our evening. Yeah,
That is true.
it is true. So go check out Northbound Coffee Roasters. You will be happy, and you will have the fuel to be the headlight on a northbound train.
Yeah.
So
See-
before we got cut off, you were good. I asked the question of who was
Yeah.
Cesar before this, because you said he's a good guy, but how did you relate to psychedelics before you actually took them?
That's a great question. And in all honesty, if people who know my story, I was a cannabis addict for a really long period of my life. And look, I respect cannabis. I think cannabis is a beautiful, beautiful medicine when used intentionally, right? But it's also a medicine that you can really get lost and become very escapist. And I became that person where the cannabis was, wake up, get high, go to work, get high, at work, get high, go home, get high, be at home and like, hey, babe, I got to go get eggs. What for? There's eggs in the refrigerator. No, I got to go get the special organic ones for a special recipe I'm doing. Yeah, bullshit. You're going out to sort of get high. So it was that escapism that had me gripped. And it wasn't until, psychedelics sort of that someone talked about it, but it was crazy because it was a recreational curiosity. I mean, it wasn't like, I've read about this, let me sort of figure this out. It was a recreational curiosity. And it wasn't until, that first big journey, which was crazy because it was the Monday before Halloween, 2022. And I have half a chocolate bar that has psilocybin in it. And
You went trick-or-treating early, huh?
I did go trick-or-treating early, which was crazy because imagine this. So I'm on a bike ride with about 200-300 people, downtown Atlanta. We're sort of taking over the streets. We do this on Monday night. We're riding around. Houses are decorated. There's like skeletons in the shrubbery. It's just, and all of a sudden I go, wait a minute. This is what my hands feel like? And this is what it feels like when my lungs are full of air, and that's what the trees smell like. And wait a minute, I got this sense of, look at all these things around me that I was missing out on, that weren't there, that I was escaping to. But what's really crazy is that as I'm driving home from this bike ride, and the street lights are going off, it's like fireworks. It's crazy. Something inside of me said, "Why are you driving this way?" And I was like, Who's saying that? It was my conscious. It was this conscious awakening of why this isn't smart. Like, you shouldn't be driving like this. And it's crazy because if I think about it, if it was alcohol, I'm sure I'd be like, hey, I've driven worse than this. We're going to make it home.
Right.
If it was cannabis, like, it don't cops around. Go ahead. Light that right now. Go ahead. But there was something that said, what are you doing? Like, why are you driving this way? And it was amazing because right when I get home as a good journalist, I've been CNN for 25 years. I'm like, what just happened to me? Like, what was it that these substances did that just made me feel something that I've never, ever felt in my life? Awakened, conscious, alive, in tune with what was going on. And I start to read and I go, wait a minute. They're using psychedelics as medicine? And they're using this for PTSD, and they're using this for depression, and they're using this for anxiety. And I come across this term called microdosing, and I'm like, wait a minute, people are using small amounts of psilocybin to get over substance dependency. And it was crazy because right away the heart was like, did you read that? And the brain was like, no, we didn't read anything.
No, I didn't see anything, man. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep going. And it was that said, you know what? Maybe through this microdosing, you can control that substance and it doesn't control you. You control the substance and you can live a much better, more awake, more enlightened life. And that's exactly what the medicine did for me.
Speaking of microdosing,
We were.
well,
nice segue.
Yeah, hey, check me out. I would urge all of you that are listening to No Simple Road to head over to our sponsor on Instagram, Melt Mushrooms, at Melt Mushrooms, MELTMUSHROOMS, the finest mushroom chocolate creator on the planet.
And not just that, they have capsules and they have gummies.
Mhm.
And in addition to their chocolates, they created a little micro mini.
Yes, all these things, 9 different flavors of chocolate, 4 grams of their sacred mushroom blend, plus a bunch of other adaptogens and functional mushrooms in there to help get the job done. And here is what you're going to do. Go to Instagram, throw them a follow at Melt Mushrooms, shoot them a DM, say, hey, No Simple Road sent me. They're going to send you a menu. You tell them what you want. You're going to get 20% off
20% off
your order this month, and you're going to feel great. It's just a win-win all the way around. So that's what I'm saying. Right? Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
I mean, you guys are literally winning that are listening to the show right now. So go check out Melt Mushrooms. Wow. You know, I think from hearing the story, what it sounds like is I think a lot of us go through our lives numbing ourselves to the reality that's happening inside and outside of us. We are constantly taking ourselves out of the present moment in order to anesthetize traumas and fears and insecurities and anxieties and all that stuff. And it sounds like what the mushrooms did for you the first time is brought you into yourself in the present moment and showed you what it was like to really be alive.
That's Aaron, that's exactly what it did. You hit it right on the head. Because before I wasn't being alive. I wasn't living this moment. Before, the best day of my life was, oh, you know what? I was on a cruise and I was there with my wife and you know what I mean? The kids were there and it was Mickey and I got high fives and it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. And then if I think about it, how can that be the best day of my life? I'm no longer with that person. My kids are grown up. If you put me in front of an all-you-can-eat buffet right now, I'd be like, ooh. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can that be the best day of my life? No, the best day of my life is right now, this present moment.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about. And it's awesome, Aaron, that you said that because it's that. It's, you know, that sense of living in the past, right, which brings on those depressive feelings. And you can't be anxious about the past. You can only be depressed about the past. And the same thing about, like you said, living in that future, so that fear, right, of what's going to happen, that anxiety that comes on with that. If you don't live that present moment, if you don't realize that this moment right now is the best moment you have in your life, then like you said, you're a bit asleep to it.
Yeah, and you're deluding yourself and missing what it's all about. And also, this moment right now is all we have. There's no guarantee. The future, the past has already happened. The future is not guaranteed. All I have is right now. So for me to willfully, I'm saying, you're right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know, willfully put myself to sleep to that is doing a disservice to the entire universe, because I am a fractal piece of that greater thing that is experiencing itself. And so if this node of the universe is not awake to the reality of what's going on, then I'm shutting down part of the computer that is alive and awake everywhere, that is everything.
That's so true. That's so true. And it's really a magical moment, like when you're present to everything, right? When you're present to the moment, when you're present to your loved ones, when you're present to your spouse, when you're present to your kids, when you're present to your coworkers, when you're present to your neighbor, that's where the magic happens. Like the magic happens right now. It doesn't happen in the past. The magic doesn't happen in the future because you got to get there. So it's right now that the magic happens. And it's once we really realize that it's these moments that we have, that once we make the best of them, then life is so much easier. And it's crazy because like I said before, I was asleep to that, and I was asleep to it partly because, again, the addiction to the cannabis, right? But partly also because I just wasn't awake, and it was the mushrooms that really said, "Be present, be present." Look, and it's funny, mushrooms have taken over my life. I mean,
they're everywhere. Yeah,
yeah, they're everywhere. I mean, it's a crazy thing to
fungus spreads, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
what an impact they've made in my life.
The culture that we live in is designed in such a way as to keep us chasing those future things and thinking about the past. It's the culture, like Terrence McKenna says, culture is not our friend, and it is designed to keep us on the treadmill of whatever rat race that we're running.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that I know for me, I've been taking psychedelics since I was a teenager, recreationally, you know, obviously back then in the 80s. But I know for me, they have been the most impactful and experiential thing in life. I can't imagine my life without them at this point and what they've done for me. This whole podcast started just simply me talking about going to my first Grateful Dead show. And obviously that's a recreational use of psychedelics, but what happened there was not that. It was an awakening to self, an awakening to community, an awakening to the thing that's outside and inside of myself that's bigger than me. That's what happened. And so it started my journey on this road. You know what I'm saying? And I'm really curious though, at, you know, over 50, your personality, your life is very set. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your identity is firmly enmeshed. And after that first experience that you had, were you scared afterward?
That's a great question. That's a great question because a lot of people have these trepidations, right? The fact that for me, it was a recreational curiosity, right? I went in wanting to get high. And the crazy thing is that awakening was awesome, but I had already had that chocolate bar for a week. And it was funny because the first time I tried psilocybin, I have just a piece of the chocolate bar. I don't know. I have no clue.
Right.
I don't know anything about dosage. I don't know anything about, you know, how much you need to take up. To me, it was like, look, it's like weed. You smoke a little bit, you get high. You don't have to smoke the whole joint, right?
Right.
You smoke a little bit. You don't have to eat the whole chocolate bar, right? So it was that. So there was no fear. And once it did happen, once that awakening happened, the sense of, wait a minute, I can do so much with this. The fact that this could potentially help me, really help me to be a better person is incredible. And there's something crazy about what you said about, you know, what would have been without. People have asked me, Cesar, what would have been of your life? You get laid off from CNN after you've been there for 25 years. I mean, this is pretty much what identifies you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what you've done for half of your adult life, and it's taken away. If psychedelics hadn't come into your world, what would have happened? And that scares me. That scares me.
That makes
because
sense.
I go, you know what? What would have been? I would have fallen down that maybe road of just being. There's a difference. Like I tell people, there's a difference between using a substance to get high and to get enlightened, right? And both, depending on what your intentions are, you're going to get the outcome that you want, right? But it's that enlightenment that psychedelics gave me, right, that helped me to sort of move forward. Because if not, listen, there's nobody hiring 55-year-old producers unless you're a senior executive vice president of programming. And let's also be honest, TV news is dying. Nobody's watching news anymore. They get it on their phone. So that would have been scary. That would have been petrifying. Right. And again, the medicine knows. Like I tell people, the medicine came to me. Like it looked for me. It wasn't like I was looking for whatever. You know, someone told me about the experience they had, then another person told me about the experience they had, and that's what opened up the curiosity, and that's what sort of drove me to try these substances. Because again, before, it wasn't that I feared them, it was I had been programmed so much that they were bad, Absolutely. That they were untouchable. They weren't something that, you know what I mean, I wanted to go down.
I'm curious too. I want to back up for a second to cannabis use, because I'm in the cannabis industry, and I work for a vape cartridge company, and I'm out every day at dispensaries kind of promoting vape carts. And like you said, it's like anything. It's a double-edged sword. One side can, the abuse of, and it sounds like you did mostly cartridges.
I was doing flower. Obviously it worked because it was easier. Yeah.
And it's funny because every day when I promote car, I hear a lot of people have quit cartridges because of the convenience. It's so easy just to hit it anywhere, like, in the bathroom, at work, anywhere. And that's why people use it for concealing it. And I always say, one of the things I always tell people when they're like, I don't do cartridges, just flower. It's like Mother Nature got it right. But as humans, we want to make everything stronger, a quicker delivery system. And I see a lot of that as my point of that. A lot of people using cartridges are just smoking all the time in the car, like everywhere. And when you're not doing the flower, that kind of takes there's more of a ritual and magic in using flour and grinding and loading a bowl and taking your time instead of just and it's been done with lots of things now, DMT and cartridges, all kinds of stuff. That's one thing I love about mushrooms is it's the closest to Mother Nature as far as an experience that you're going to have and connects you to yourself and, the world. Mother Nature, like you said, slows you down so you can enjoy everything that's going on around you. When we live in such a fast-paced world, it's awesome to hear your story.
And I think too, Cesar, people would benefit from hearing a little bit about how you integrated that experience into your life afterwards, because those are watershed moments that happen when you have a awakening from a plant medicine or a mushroom or whatever. That it's not like the next day you wake up and everything's better and off I go into a brand new life, and it's
solved
unicorns
everything.
and rainbows everywhere.
Well, like
you're still in it.
How do you marry those two, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff that you were thinking beforehand, like like psychedelics are bad, whatever those Dare taught you, whatever your parents taught you, whatever the church taught you about, and like you said, we have these preconceived notions of like the hippies, so staying away from that kind of culture. So how did you marry those two?
Integrate that.
I think the one, I immediately saw the hope, right? The change comes during time, right? You don't change overnight, right? But it was that hope that it gave me. And it was funny because, when people ask me, well, what protocol should I use? And I'm like, well, you know what? It's sort of, this is citizen science. Like my protocol might not work for you, right? So the protocol that I did use was the Fadiman protocol, which calls for 1 day on, 2 days off. And it was really interesting because that first dosage day, obviously it's like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Life is amazing. Life is beautiful. I have everything I need. And the cannabis was like an afterthought. It wasn't even, I didn't even think about it. That second day, that transition day, it was like, oh, you know what? Maybe, but not, you know what? Maybe not. Yesterday I didn't need it. Why today? And then that third day, that integration day, which is what you guys were talking about, how I integrated all of this together. It was that sense of like, wait a minute. I don't need that right now. And what was I sleeping to? Like, what was I? And the integration now has become being able to talk about it. Like for me, being able to talk to people, especially people my generation, about how I've changed, about how I've been able to sort of look at things differently, how I've been able to have a different relationship with the substance that before was literally like gripped me, like it had me around the neck. And like Apple said, because it's so easy to sort of just, I tell people, look, when we grew up, right, if you wanted to smoke cannabis, like in your house, like you had to go upstairs and you had that window and everything.
It wasn't easy.
Spray, and you're like blowing it out, whatever. And it's like nowadays these kids are like smoking in the back of the parents' car. And the parents don't even know. It's like it's so, for me, that integration, that marrying has been, okay, let's have honest conversations. Like, I get it. I understand. And like I tell people, look, I'm going to talk to 5 people, right, about what I'm doing. 2 of them are going to say, there's no way ever I would try psychedelic. Are you crazy? I've heard the stories. I've read about them. I know people who are in a loony bin because of psychedelics. Bullshit. You don't know anybody in the loony bin, to be honest. You're going to have 2 that you're going to poke at their childhood curiosity. And they're going to go, wait a minute, hold on a second. What? Like, medicine? Really? And psychedelics and people like, no, and there's like educational institutions that are studying it. Yes. But you're going to have that one person that's going to go, wait a minute, that's what I need. That's what I've been looking for. So for me, the integration, or part of the biggest part for me of integration, is being able to openly talk about this, right? Openly, without fear of judgment, without fear of what people are going to think, without fear of, whatever, that I can honestly have these discussions. And then the other beautiful part for me of integration is seeing people's change, right? Seeing someone say, hey, Cesar, thank you. I appreciate that you talked to me about that. And it's about that connection to humans, where you give them that little power of them to try something different, and it changes your mind, that completely fills your heart. So that's been a big part of the integration for me, especially with psychedelics, is to be able to talk to them about them openly and honestly.
What about with your family?
That's a great story, Mel, and I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah, because Aaron and I, we have children, and they're
and grandkid
and a grandchild, and they're adult children, and we've had to be honest with our psychedelics use
we didn't have to.
Well, we were. We chose to be. Let me say that. We chose to be honest with them for a long time, because we didn't want to lie.
No.
We didn't want to lie about it, and we were living it. So how can we lie about something we're living? So it was always a space that we talked about, and when it was, when it was hard, but it still made sense to do. And I'm so grateful that we did that, because what has caused our children to have a super healthy relationship with psychedelics. They've both tried it, and they both self-regulate, and they both don't need it all the time. And I love that about them. But I know that it was not the easy choice, because they had friends and family that, other family and other like their friends, that their parents and all that it was unconventional. So we gave them something that they also kind of either had to hide or not be 100% honest with, or figure out how to, walk around. But like, we decided, no, we're going to tell them about this. So I know it doesn't always go over easy. How did that?
I was going to say, on top of that too, I saw you have one of your children served in the military, so it's close to home, like treating veterans and stuff also. Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about two generations, right?
Yes.
One, obviously, let's start my children. Right, my children are grown. Right, my oldest is 28. The one that's in the military, he's serving right now. He's 24. Hats off to him. He's in Army Ranger School, so that's
right on.
And then my daughter is now a freshman at college. So for them, the older one, he's lived a life. He's lived in Paris. He's lived in New York. He's a traveled man. So for him, having this honest discussion was like, okay, Dad, you know what? I get a sense that you're doing this responsibly. I get a sense that you've educated yourself. I get a sense that you're in a better place. I understand. Obviously, the one that's in the military is like, okay, well, I'm in the military, so I'm not going to wear your gear. I can't wear your gear. But thank you for what you're doing, or thank you that there's so many people trying to get veterans help with psychedelics. So he gets it. He sees it. He sort of sees it. You know what? There's a lot of people who have served like he has, or he's doing right now, that afterwards have been able to sort of get out and find a different way than before. Because again, it's the fact that 22 service men or women, veterans, take their lives every day is something that's just unacceptable.
Insane,
whatever we can do to help them out is paramount. So for him, it was interesting. My daughter was a harder sell. Because she was like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Like, you're doing like psychedelics, like that's illegal, and then you're going to create a company for people to manifest that they're doing something illegal. So for her, it was a lot harder sell. And I was like, look, I'm not doing anything and there's so many things that are illegal. And I was like, look, once in a while, you're in college, you're not of age to drink yet. Once in a while, you have a drink or two, right, at a party, right? Is that illegal? So it's not, you know what I mean? Don't cast a stone yet, but sort of see the difference. And she's sort of now, she's like, Dad, I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Oh.
Like, it's good for you, and good that you're just such a much better centered, authentic person that it's amazing. So for my kids, and again, because they're older, like I couldn't imagine the discussion with my child who's 10 years old telling him what I'm doing, but that honesty is incredibly important. Now, my mother was a different story.
Yeah, I bet.
When I tell my 80-year-old mother, I said, Mom, do you know that cannabis dependency that I deal with? She said, I'm your mother. Of course I do. I said, well, Mom, I'm going to start using psychedelics to get over my cannabis dependency. And she was like, are you fucking nuts?
You're using gasoline to put out your fire?
Like, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Like, are you crazy? Like, seriously, what is wrong with you? Like, have you seen how old you are? Like, have you seen
But it's valid, right? In her perspective.
Totally, 1,000%.
Like
1,000%. Like, are you serious? Like, have you seen that you have 3 children? How are you going to explain this to them? Like, what is wrong with you? And I said, Mom, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, right now, I have 2 options. I continue down the cannabis path and see where that leads me, or I try something different. And she was like, you know what? I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. And she hung up on me.
Oh.
She calls my wife and she says, what happened to him? Like, what? Like, did he just do so much drugs? Now he's just gone crazy? And she said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Before, he was escaping. He was escaping life. He was escaping himself. He was escaping his problems. He was escaping everything. Now he's more present. Now he's here. Now he's like there, 24%. So that's what I see. A month later, as my mom is in Colombia, she sees this necklace. She sees this pendant, which is a crystal mushroom, and she brings it to me. And she hands it to me, and she goes, I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Yes.
I go, my parents are proud of the fact that I use psychedelics. If that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. And now my mom makes me.
What was
his mom's making?
But what was her change of heart in Colombia? What did she see, or what did she experience?
Exactly. So the crazy thing is, my mom, came to this country, emigrated here, after I was born, with one hand in the front, one hand in the back. Very minimal education. She realized what business was because she worked at her uncle's gas station and went, okay, this is how you run a business. And she came to this country. She made it for herself, right? Without an education, she started a business and she had a little empire of a beauty salon and a beauty supply. And she was able to give employment to her siblings and to her daughter and create this. So for her, the way to go is start your own business. And she'd always say that to me, like, start your own business. Stop being dependent on someone else. Right? You're making money for them. You're not making money for yourself. So when she sees, holy cow, he's talking differently. He started his own business. After I've been busting his chops to be doing this, like, finally he's done it. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of what you're doing. And it's funny because she's my #1 fan. And if ever there's a couple of days that I don't post something, she's the first one going, why haven't you posted anything? You know what I mean?
You know what?
Yes.
It's the proof is in the pudding. It's in the people that you love that are in your life, seeing the change that happens in you and through you and around you that makes them realize that this isn't something crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, man.
Or even if it is something crazy, they're accepting of it because they see what it's doing for you.
The reality of the time that we live in, there's a couple of things that are really great. One is cognitive liberty is coming to the forefront of consciousness in the country that we live in. A lot of states are allowing use of psychedelics or decriminalizing the use of psychedelics. So, like I said before, the culture that we live in stigmatized and didn't allow for us to explore our own consciousness and our own realities. It was demonized and illegal. Also, I firmly believe that we're in the midst of an awakening.
Oh, definitely.
And I always thought that, like, years ago, I would hear talk of, like, native prophecies and all this stuff about an awakening happening. And I thought it would be this, like, one day, again, you wake up and everything's different kind of thing. But what it really looks like is exactly what you're talking about. Individual people waking up to the truth of who they are in the moment and then spreading that message through living their life in a different way that other people can see. And through that, the vibration of the planet is being raised.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And it's incredibly important, like, that we have these platforms like you guys have, right? That we can have these open, honest discussions, right? That people can say, you know what, look, these are normal, everyday people, right? These are fathers, these are husbands, these are sons, these are mothers, these are daughters, these are, athletes, these are entrepreneurs, these are lawyers who are using psychedelics as life performance enhancers. Mm-hmm. They're not using it to go trip out in the woods and whatever. They're using it because it really enhances their life. And that's the awakening. And that's why it's paramount that platforms like the ones we both have, that we have these honest discussions, that we have these honest talks, that we really highlight people who are doing better, who are doing great things through psychedelics, especially because, look, I worked in mass media for a long time. I know that they're just itching, they're just biting at the chomp for one story that's bad about psychedelics, so that they can see, I told you so. I told you so. Mm-hmm. It's bad. So that's why the more we show these stories, the more we show, look at this couple. They're incredibly thriving and they're doing awesome and they're having these wonderful discussions. Look at this guy. This guy used to work at CNN and he turned his life around and now he's a better person. All these talks about positive changes through psychedelics are incredibly important right now because of the stigma, right? The stigma that exists, because we're one headline away from, like, a couple of days ago, pilot takes shrooms, tries to down plane. No, hold on a second, back up. That's not what happened.
Right.
That's not what happened, right? So it's these wonderful, open, positive discussions about changes through psychedelics that we need to have, and we need to have often.
I want to ask about spirituality and religion, because I'm sure that, probably growing up in a Spanish household, you Catholic or Christian or something of that nature. Did psychedelics change your ideas or thoughts about God or spirit or spirituality and how you relate to the higher tiers, the higher world that we can't see?
Yeah. So obviously, like you said, I grew up Catholic. I grew up in a very Catholic home. As I went through life and then became a journalist, right, really digging deep, I saw what religion does, right? That the same way that religion can unify people, it can really destroy and break people apart, right, and start wars.
Yeah.
So I became very skeptical, right? Very skeptical in the sense of like I believe in the universe. Right? I believe in the universe. I believe that there's a higher power that's called the universe that puts things in our way, right? And it was crazy because if people ask me, do you believe in God? My answer is, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if he exists. He hasn't talked to me. I haven't seen him. I haven't been in front of him. So I don't know. Now, I do know that the universe is magical, and that the universe puts things in our life, sometimes to challenge us, sometimes to make us better. Now, I did have a 5-MeO DMT.
I was good. That was my question. Yeah.
In Jamaica. And that made me realize that I'm God, and you're God, and she's God, and he's God. We're all God, right? It's how we portray ourselves, right? It's how we, not in the way that we're the arrogant God or the hateful God or the God that if you only believe in me and that's the way you're going to be saved. No, the God, that loving spirit, that everything around us is beautiful, right? That my path in life is my own God, is to love, is to forgive, and is to move forward. That's the way that a God should walk, right? Because if you don't love, then anger and animosity towards whatever, it's a horrible feeling. Forgiveness, you have to forgive, and not for the other person, but for oneself, because then you don't carry that. And moving forward, why do you sort of live in that path of holding stuff against people? No, it's about loving, living, and moving forward that makes us feel empowered. And if you feel that you're God, then you can believe in another God. Not that there's anything wrong with it. That's, every person has your own opinion. But if you don't believe in yourself as a true walking God, then how can you really believe in anything else?
Hi, I'm Dave Gebrow. I threw my career as a licensed hearing instrument specialist in the trash, sold my house, and created the ultimate music obsessives podcast, Discograffiti. Each episode of Discograffiti features an eclectic and wide-ranging slew of cool musicians doing long-form, deep-dive interviews in which we rate either their favorite band's output or their own from 0 to 5 stars. From Mike Watt rating the Minutemen to Terry Kirkman from The Association, Bob Nastanovich on Pavement, Bob Forrest on The Band, Bob Mayer on The Replacements, and Lou Barlow on The Zombies, each new guest swings a hard left into an area you either had no idea you needed to know about or know all about and can't believe you're not alone out there. Coming up, here's who we've got on the program. The Lemon Twigs, Robert Schneider from the Apples in Stereo, the Dedrick siblings from The Free Design, Joel Selvin on mother-murdering superstar drummer Jim Gordon, and a record-breaking 20-hour interview with the great Michelle Phillips about the Mamas and the Papas. You're not going to want to miss it because there's nothing quite like it. Don't let your youth go to waste, lads and ladies. Discograffiti. Subscribe.
That's well said.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that because just when you awaken, especially like Aaron was saying, you're so fixed, with who you are at those ages. And when you have this new awakening of sorts, there's a lot of different pieces, the family aspect, your personal self, like how you relate to the world, your friends, like having to explain this to your friends. And then that spiritual aspect, like, where do I go from now? I've been praying to, God or Jesus this whole time. And now I don't know if it's like that, but it's not, like there's so many different relationships that alter because of these experiences that we have, and so I just like getting other people's thoughts and how they've dealt with it because, going forward, we still have, maybe somebody in their 60s is going to come out and be like, oh my God, I tried it for the first time. Now they're relating to their generation and above them to try to not help or save, but enlighten other people about
Educate.
Yeah, educate.
It's like, look, I share my story, right? I share my story of transformation, and I hope that that's what pokes at people's childhood curiosity. And I back that up with science, with studies that are being done, with the fact that there's, besides hospitals and educational institutions that are studying how these can better us, that's how I move forward in this space, right? But it's that awakening, and it's awesome because everyone's got their story, and everyone's story is beautiful. Like everyone I've met who has a story of awakening, it's heart-filling of how they are and how they change and how they smile and how they've become just who they are. And it's crazy that sort of, again, part of the reason is that connection, right? That being able to speak about it. And it's through, sometimes for me, it was through that apparel, because when my life changes, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. I was able to get over this dependency. I'm like, wait a minute, what am I going to do after CNN? Like, let's think about this. Like, let's sort of be open. Where before it might have been like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job at CNN. And what am I going to do? And nobody's going to hire me. And you know what I mean? Let me just slice my wrist. I don't know. It's feel horrible. No, it was like, wait a minute. Yes, you can do this. You can do whatever you want. And that's where that sort of desire to say, hey, you know what? Let me offer up something, right, that we can have these conversations. And that's where the apparel brand was born. And it's through these conversations. I mean, how many times have I worn this shirt that says microdosing and someone's come up to me and says, you microdose? And I go, yeah, I do. They go, I've been reading about that. I've been hearing about this, but I have nobody to talk to. I don't know who to ask. And yes, I hear something on the internet, I hear something here, but finally I see someone. So you open up this community, or you have situations like I had a couple of months ago. I was in the supermarket and someone comes up to me, she goes, you microdose? And I went, yes. How can you tell? Because of my smile? She said, no, because of your shirt, dumbass. And I went, okay. And she shares this story with me that before, she used to drink a bottle of wine every day. She'd get home, the kids, work, you know what, let me have a glass, and then, you know what, whatever, just another glass, and then I'm not going to leave that little bit that's left in the bottle. And by the end of the night, she's just like, I was a wreck. I wasn't present for anything. She goes, now I microdose every 3 days. I'm more present for my husband. I'm more present for my child. I'm more present for work. So it's right, Mel. It's like you said, it's having these conversations, right? If that mom goes and talks to her mom friends, that's awesome. If the lawyer goes and talks to his other lawyer friends or people in his law firm about what he's doing, awesome. If a 60-year-old talks to her 60-year-old or his 60-year-old friend and says, look at how I've been able to change my life. I've been able to get some off of some of these medicines that the doctors have given me, now taking a little bit of mushrooms. That's what it's about sharing these discussions, about this community, right? And it's what Aaron had talked about earlier, that culture, right? We're only part of this culture. No, what we should strive to be is part of a community, part of people. That's what we should strive to be.
Yes.
That the one thing I love,
Yes.
you talking about like your mother at first, like kind of freaking out, and then she comes around to it and is one of your biggest supporters. It's a similar thing with my parents. We're similar age. My dad turned 81 yesterday. And
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah. And he is sharp.
He's dope.
He's one of our biggest supporters. But when we moved up here to Portland in 2016, and he knew, he's known my whole life that I'm in cannabis. Same with my mom, but they've always, he's a lawyer. So he always looked at it from that legality side of it and was like, doing that dope and this and that. And one thing I love that we've had a conversation about, the old skits on Saturday Night Live, the whole propaganda thing of weed and pot is a gateway drug to all the other bad things and everything.
Yeah.
And now him and my mom, both very conservative, never gave me a real hard time, but didn't like it.
No, they let us smoke weed in the
now
house.
They're
dude.
the ones that are like, I'm low on that low shit. I love seeing older people. Cannabis opened up a whole new world to them. To where now they have tried it, not smoking it, but in tinctures and lotions. And I've gotten, which I didn't expect, but I got apologies from both of them that were like, wow, now I understand why you did this, because especially with my mother, antidepressants and stuff, she got off of so many medications. And I see this daily working in the industry of people getting off medications, medicating themselves through cannabis, which is now leading to what we're talking about. It's opening the discussion for the next thing, which is the psychedelic therapy with ketamine and MDMA and mushrooms and so many avenues. DMT. And now, and like what you're doing, I love it. We have a bunch of tie-dyes. We're deadheads and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's the old school. That's like what they used to see and be like, oh, they're just going out.
Burnouts.
They're going out in the woods and getting naked.
We were.
They're listening to those 8-track tapes of the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
But is there an apology that needs to happen to that sect of people? Because that's kind of messed up.
Everybody can just say, thank you.
Well, yes, thank you. Thank you. We were wrong.
We carried the torch when nobody else would.
Yeah, we're late to the party.
And now it opens it up where there is no apology needed on either side. I didn't need that for my parents. What I wanted was open discussion.
Yes.
To be able to say, yes, I do this daily. I'm responsible. I go to work. I do what I got to do. And I'm a good person that puts out love and kindness every day. Yeah. And that's that's where we're at. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's recognition, because were they wrong? They were wrong because that's where they were programmed.
Right.
Yeah. So to them they weren't wrong.
Yeah.
They were right.
Yeah.
They were right because this is what we're being fed. The government, the people who are supposed to protect us, the people who we look up to make sure we're fine. They're telling us, no, this is bad. This is good. Oh, don't go there. It's like, wait a minute. So it's not that they were wrong. It's maybe, again, they weren't educated. And that's what's paramount in all of this. Education.
Yep.
Right? That we do educate other people. That's where we move this forward. Education is going to be the most important part of psychedelic medicine or the psychedelic renaissance moving forward. It has to be, because again, People they were educated that this is bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now we have to deprogram. We have to show them. But again, like Mel said, we show them through the transformation.
That's right.
We show them through them saying, look how much better they are. Look how much better they act. Look how authentic they feel. That's how we educate them.
Well, now people are educating themselves. Like you said with CNN, my mom and dad, everything they learned was from the news. growing up with the news and everything. And my dad, I love it. And then like the last couple of years, my dad was like, he'd get upset at me for not, he'd want to talk to me about politics. So I was like, I don't pay attention to that, Dad. That doesn't, you're letting that affect you. He quit watching the news now, and he was diehard.
Wait, what?
Diehard CNN. He turns it on once in a while when there's something going on to see what they're. But now he'll watch like Fox and like he'll watch the different viewpoints instead of just stuck to one. And I love that. Like you getting out of the CNN. It was what was supposed to happen for you.
How do you relate to politics now, Cesar? Because CNN is heavy political. I mean, not exclusively, but heavy. And so
no, heavy. I mean, I was, and it's crazy. My last years at CNN, I worked in sports. Right, I was working for CNN International, so we were producing sports shows. But still, I would get you work for CNN, fake news, and I'd be like, wait a minute. 5 always beats 3, no matter what. I'm sorry, there's no fake news in that, right? And the first person over the finish line always wins. You can't fake that, right? But I get it because I was in there. I was in editorial meetings. I was in, conference calls where it was very political and it's very, I'm not going to say one-sided because CNN, from what I went through, I mean, to get a script for sports on some team beating 5-3, it had to go through 2 or 3 rows of copy editing.
Wow.
Right. So I know that there's fact checking there, but I do sense, or I do feel that there was an agenda to make sure that whatever happened was highlighted. But it was also breaking news. Trump just took a shit. How is that breaking news?
Who cares?
Right. So the moment that I was able to leave that building, right, I said, that's just, I don't need that. That doesn't, in other words, the only thing that I can do to affect change is to vote, and to vote for the candidate who I feel is going to have the best change for me. But I was sickened sometimes by the fact of even working in sports, that it's like, what did they do next? And what did he do next? And what happened next? And what did he do next? And let me wake up and let me go on Twitter and wait a minute, what? Like, why? There's so much everything else that's going on in life that for me to be able to tune that off, to be able to turn that off a bit and go, you know what? Not that I don't want to know what's going on in the world, but there's so many other things going on in my world that I can change for my neighbors, right? For the person across the street, for my kids, for my spouse, for the people I work with, that other peripheral stuff can just sometimes be noise.
Totally.
And the moment we can sort of, you know what, let me put that down for a little bit and let me sort of dedicate on me and the things around me, it's such a better feeling.
Going back to the spirituality thing, when, especially later in life, when our spiritual beliefs have been fixed in us through programming of our parents or the world around us or even ourselves, and we have an experience that shakes us up, what you're saying about community is the key to that experience being able to be integrated. If I don't have a forum and a group of people around me that I can talk to honestly about the experience that I just had, then the programming that is in me is going to take back over more than likely, because I don't have validation and I don't have support. And so when I can honestly talk about the experience that I've had to someone else, whether it be a peer, an elder, even somebody younger, and say, hey, look, I've believed this whatever my whole life. I had this experience through plant medicine or mushrooms or whatever. Now everything looks different. What do I do? Having a forum to be able to honestly ask those questions. That's why I asked you about being afraid earlier after your first experience. Because stepping into that new understanding is really difficult solo. So having the ability to have a conversation with somebody outside of yourself to say, this happened, and then hearing their feedback and realizing that it's part of the trip, part of the journey, and that now I'm able to confidently take on whatever that information is and move forward and integrate it into who I am. Would you agree?
Oh, incredibly on point. Like incredibly on point. And I tell people, find your people.
Yeah, man.
Find your people. And again, I get it. I get that not everyone can wear this shirt. I know that there's guys that can't wear this at work because their boss is gonna be like, oh, microdosing, is that drugs? Like, are you on drugs right now?
Yep.
So I get that. But that doesn't mean that you can't have a beer with your buddies and go, you know what? I found microdosing and my life has completely changed. Like my life has completely changed. Or again, finding your people, finding your groups. So Atlanta's got a wonderful psychedelic association. There's a whole bunch of cities
Same with
that have
Portland.
really good psychedelic associations. There's great clubhouses on Instagram that have, on the internet that have psychedelic talks. So find your people, right? Find your people. And again, educate yourself. I tell people, please don't microdose because I'm microdosing. Like microdose because I poked at your childhood curiosity and because you've done some research, you've done some homework, you realize, oh, wait a minute, these are the intentions I have to take these medicines. Like, right. I have intentions now. This isn't just like, oh, you know what, hopefully this will make me. No, what are your intentions to take these medicines? And then once you do that, then be able to sort of share that experience and share that knowledge, share that wisdom, cultivate that wisdom with other people is where the real magic happens. And it's that community thing. I mean, in this year and a half, I've had 6 heroic doses, right? I've had 6 big doses. I've had one, which was my birthday, 2022, which I tell people, the podium of my life, the birth of my children, no matter what. That's number one. Yep. That's on top of everything. Number 2, meeting the love of my life after the age of 50, someone who I know is going to be there wholeheartedly, who supports me through thick and thin, even in the worst moments. And then number 3, that first heroic journey, which was really profound and incredible. Now, I've also had journeys that have been incredibly challenging, that have been like, holy cow.
Same.
And through all of this, it's been able to talk to it afterwards. But the last experience I had was in a group setting, was in a group healing setting. And it was beautiful because it was 2 days. The first day was, let's all talk. Let's be community. What are our intentions? What are we looking for? What's hurting? What's not hurting? And we're sitting there having these honest discussions with other humans that before we went in that door, we didn't even know who we were, right? And then afterwards, sharing that ceremony with them and being present and being there. And then afterwards, being able to integrate and talk about what we felt and talk about, what we went through. That community part, that sharing part is so beautiful. And that ceremony in particular, in the midst of it, in the thick of it, the medicine was crazy because it was funny because, I've had these journeys where the intention is like, okay, where does this go next? Like, where does this business go next? Like, what do I do next? Where is this going? Like, what do I have to see? Why is it that sometimes people see things that I might not see, right? People see the potential of me doing something that even I don't see. So that intentions were that for that journey. And it was funny because the first thing I hear, the medicine says, are you seriously going to ask us that again? Like that?
Come on, man.
Thought we got past that.
We had these discussions already. And it was crazy because it's like I'm all of a sudden I'm getting led down this route, down this hallway. And it's like, okay, is this what you want to see? And I sort of get this sense of a hand that's opening this door. And as the door opens, there's nothing there. It's just dark. And I hear, we have nothing else to show you. We've shown you it all. Like, look at where you are. Look at what you've done. Look at where people think about you. Just be there. But what I do want you to see is what's going on around you. And I take my blindfold off, and I was at the East Institute, which is this beautiful healing space here in Atlanta, which is just amazing. The people there are incredible. And I wake up to like, I'm in the middle of this ancient, indigenous healing ceremony with these 3 shamanic queens just literally floating around the people that are there. And it took me back to our ancestors. That's how they healed.
Yeah.
They would have these ceremonies with people using plant medicine to be better and come together and be part of this, that's community. And that's much more better than culture. That community aspect of the plant medicine, whether it's we're in community together having a ceremony, whether it's community together because we're sharing experiences, whether it's community together because I'm saying, hey, you know what? I've been using this medicine, ibogaine or DMT or ketamine or whatever it is, and it's helped me. It might help you. That's what it's about.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
I just wonder, like, okay, going forward, people like yourself with these platforms, us, Charles Patty, people of these MAPS organization, all these types of things, as these organizations and these platforms begin to grow and educate more and more, what do you see happening in the next 5 years, 10 years even? And it doesn't, of course, this is just speculation, but based on what you know of the past, what you know of what you're living right at this moment and your feelings, and just kind of a projection. What do you feel?
So it's funny because a lot of people, right, in the people who have been awakened, right, they're like, wait a minute, how is this possible? Why isn't this legal? Why is it that I can't, get this regularly available? And why aren't we up here? Like, why aren't we up here? The reason why we're not up here is because we're right here. And 12 months ago, we were down here, right? So it's like we're taking these steps. Now, what I do ask people is that we take these steps and we take a deep breath and we integrate and we figure out what's going on. Because I would hope that, and Apple, I'm not sure if you see this, part of me sees that the cannabis industry really went full gas. Like, wow, let's go, and let's get it everywhere. And now it's in gas stations, and now it's like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Psychedelics and mushrooms are a little bit more complicated.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
This isn't, you know what? Let me go to a gas station, let me get a little bag that looks like Starburst, but really it's got psilocybin in it, and let me sort of whatever, and let me go. No. So I think moving forward, the most important part is education. It's education, right? Honest conversations. That the genie is out of the bottle, the genie is out of the bottle. That it's going back, it's no way.
No, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, man.
No. The fact that MDMA is now legally in Australia to be able to be prescribed, that's just, again, they're there. They were here, they're there. Where else are we going to go?
It's coming.
Right? Where else are we going to go? So education, more talk about it, more open conversations. It's a roller coaster. It is a roller coaster. And again, because of the stigma that exists, right? So my hope is that we don't all go out and say, you know what, this is great. This is going to, yes, it could potentially help save the world. But let's bring down the hyperbole a little bit. Let's have honest discussions. Let's sort of sit down and have these. It was funny. My first big journey, right? As the medicine starts to kick in, all I hear is go lie on the dining room table. I was like, what? What the? Go lie on the dining room table. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And I'm sitting there lying on the dining room table, and I start cracking up like a child. All I hear is go set buffet tables of wisdom to cultivate a better future. And I truly believe, Mel, if we do that, if we sit down at tables and we cultivate wisdom about plant medicine to people who know and people who don't know, that we're going to be in a better place. Because it is a bit daunting. It is a bit daunting because, again, one day you're going to get, a headline that says FDA approves MDMA to help veterans, right? And then the next day we might get guy takes shrooms, does cartwheels on highway, crashes 10 cars. So it's we're in that sense. And I wish I could sort of see the future and say, 5 years from now, this is what's going to go on. What I want from 5 years from now, right, is that hopefully my son can take off his uniform and find a place where they can say, son, come here. Come, let's give you a hug first. Let's thank you for your service. Let's put you on some somatic healing. Right? And then from there, let's maybe see if we can put you on a microdosing protocol so you don't have to rely on a whole bunch of medicines that might warp you even more. And then maybe let's sort of have a bigger journey so that maybe you can really empty out your cup. So hopefully I see that in the future. And I also hopefully see, being Latino, being Hispanic, I know the lack of information that exists for that community. And for me, being Hispanic, I feel that responsibility a bit. That, you know what, let me also open up my platform to that part of it. Yes. And my hope is that maybe, 5 years down the road, I can create something. I can create a container where we can find people of diverse communities, where we can find people of lower served communities, we can find people of marginalized community and teach them how to use these medicines. The people have been called to use these medicines, to teach them how to use these medicines properly, medicines that their ancestors have used for thousands of years, for millennials, so that they can take it and help heal their community. That's hopefully what I see in the future. That's what I'm hoping, that we can create those types of containers.
And just to back up to answer, when at the beginning of that, you said, I completely agree 100%. Cannabis, once and it's still happening, there was not much intention into it other than most people thought it was the next get rich, get into cannabis, which is not the case. And there was not as much intention as into the healing and medicine. It was like more recreational, like we can smoke out, like party. Now, years later, there's more education and stuff being pushed as a lot of companies fail. Like the cream's rising to the top. And also, I believe that's another great thing cannabis has done, is shown now there's a model for it.
Correct.
And that is being brought over into the psychedelic world, because everything we're seeing with the psychedelic world is much more intention. The education, intention, everything like what you're doing, it's coming first now. Before, and most people say that we're not pushing you to do this. This is a personal choice you need to make for yourself and everything. It was not like that with cannabis. That came later. But I think it was a reaction in the whole world of like, I still wake up and it's like, I can't believe cannabis is legal. And I go into these stores every day, and it has laid the groundwork for a much better world for the psychedelics to now come into it and be accepted.
Well, I think too, man, that we were really fortunate in how we were brought into psychedelic space, because being around the Grateful Dead community, I was born into a community in psychedelics. Like when I had my experience, I had an entire city around me that was very well versed in psychedelic space and being there. The beauty of right now and in the next 5 years is that there's platforms like yours, ours, and others where communities exist, where when someone awakens to whatever that reality is, they have a place to go and find the others, and that's it. And so going forward in the next 5 years, I think it's incumbent on folks like you and us to cultivate those communities to the best of our ability, and to make sure that the people that are around us feel supported, heard, loved, and fed. You know what I mean? And then beyond that, we just have to trust that love wins, and that the universe is perfect in every way, and everything is part of the Dharma, and that's it. And that's how we go forward from here.
And to trust the medicine.
Yeah. But before we go, I want to ask you a weird question. Can I ask you something strange?
This is our favorite part, when Aaron does the weird questions.
Yes, please.
So when you get into doing psychedelics, there's a lot of talk about extraterrestrials and aliens and whatever. And especially with psilocybin, I've heard and thought myself about extraterrestrial technology. I think that as human beings, we are rooted in the material, and we see things like our computer or a microphone or a camera, and we think that's how things manifest into the world. So we imagine that if we were contacted by alien life, it's going to be this giant spaceship, and they're going to come out of it, and there's going to be a being that's walking, because we're rooted in the material world, and that's where our perspective is. But I've heard it posited that things like psilocybin and DMT could actually be a technology that is seated on this planet for extraterrestrials to communicate with human brains on another level. What do you think about that?
Look, that's a great argument. That's actually a really great argument, because think about it. There's nothing else that really awakens our consciousness. Anything that awakens our consciousness like psychedelics do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there's nothing there. Or at least in my lifetime, I've never tried anything that sort of has put me in that scope. And the fact that most of these psychedelics come from the earth, right? They come from the ground. They come from Mother Nature, or whatever you want to believe in, Buddha, Allah, God, whatever, put these on here, right? But again, how were they manifested to get here? Like, what was it that did that, to sort of say, you know what, we're going to put these substances here so that you can be enlightened, so that you can be awakened. And then who was it that said, no, you know what, those are bad, those are horrible, you can't use those, that's not there. So it is a really interesting argument. It's an incredibly interesting argument that, you know what, again, what else awakens us to that way?
Nothing. I've had a couple of one ketamine experience and one DMT experience in particular that while I was in the midst of it, for sure, I got these downloads of like, did you think it was going to be spaceships, dum dum? Like this is how it's happening. You are experiencing first contact right now. This is us talking to you. Here you go. You wanted it. There it is. So that's why I asked, because I've actually had that thought.
It's a great question. It's a great question, and again, it's a great argument. It's a really good argument. It's a good topic to talk about. I think it's smart, and again, enlightenment is where it's at.
Totally.
So what's one on the outtake, or on the last bit, what's one bit of wisdom that you've cultivated that you want to share with everyone listening today?
There's two things.
Sure.
One, I've learned that the way to live life is to manifest love you wealth. And I don't just mean wealth in the sense of money, because time is wealth, right? Being with your family is wealth. So when you manifest love you wealth instead of manifesting F you wealth, life is so much more easier. And what that love you wealth is, you know what? I get some, but you get some, because I'm going to invest in you, because I believe in you, because I care about you, because that's going to bring me back, right? Because that F you wealth, that evaporates really quickly. And that doesn't make you any friends. That just makes you enemies.
Right.
So
Love that.
to me, it's, one, go out in the world and manifest love you wealth, right? That's number one. If you do that, it's much easier. Number two, go out and spread much love, because that's what it's about, right? Is that what the mushrooms do? Is that not what the mushrooms do?
Yes, baby.
It's all about spreading much love, right? Peace, mushrooms, and love. That's what life is about. If you could do that, that's awesome. Like I said, always cultivate your wisdom.
Yes.
Cultivate your wisdom, right? That's what it's about. Also, show off the molecules you're using, because if people know, right? And then just know that these things are beautiful.
Oh.
These things, the mushrooms are so beautiful. They connect us in so many ways. It's just, we were all scared of mushrooms. No, people are like, oh, you know what? It's sort of, even myself, I remember in a yard seeing a mushroom come out. I'd be like, I kick this mushroom, it's horrible. Like, now it's like, oh my God, look how beautiful the mushroom is. And it could be the ugliest, most hideous piece of fungi that's coming out of the ground. Yeah, for me now, it's like, oh my God, look how beautiful it is. In fact, we have in the front yard, we have a gnome, it's a mushroom gnome. So whenever I go and walk the dog and the mushroom's right for picking, I'll pick the mushroom and I'll put it at the feet of our mushroom gnome.
Oh.
We have a gnome in the studio. He sits next to me. Cesar, where can folks go to find out more and get your products and all that stuff?
Definitely. So of course, cultivatingwisdom.net is where the apparel brand is, where, you can find more about what we're doing with vets. I'm actually going to put a NSR 20 discount for 20% discount
Ooh,
for anybody
fun.
who listens who wants to get some apparel. Part of the proceeds go to Vet Solutions, which is the organization that helps vets. And then, of course, on Instagram, cultivating.wisdom. That's usually where you'll find me, sharing my goofiness and sharing my wisdom and just, offering up great places to listen to podcasts and, wonderful things to do. So, the more the merrier. Like I said, I'm here to hopefully educate people, show people the transformation and reinvention of life is possible at any time. We're now going to move into a little bit of, like I said, my generation a little bit more. We're going to put together a little coaching course on helping people over 50 create safe and effective microdosing practice. So we're going to start doing that because I think it's that education, it's that bridge that we need between Generation Xers who were so programmed, that they were bad, and people like us who are smiling and happy because psychedelics have become such a wonderful part of our life. So we're poking at people's childhood curiosity.
Well, Cesar,
Yes.
I appreciate you spending time with us today, man. This was a beautiful conversation. I know that the people that listen to the show are going to love this, especially our friend Matthew.
Yes.
And
Yeah, you're very inspiring. This was great to meet you.
And I also appreciate the whole Latino aspect. That's really awesome. That is close to near and dear to my heart. I got my Latin Dead shirt on today.
Oh, nice,
That's
nice.
right. I
Muy
don't know.
bueno.
And it's necessary. It's necessary for my mom and for my aunts and uncles and so forth, for the people who don't know anything about this, but are somehow connected culturally and don't realize it. And so I really look forward to the work that you're doing, and in the short time that you've done so much work. Thank you.
And I'm sure this isn't the last time we're going to talk.
Oh, I feel like there's a
No.
part two. There's a part two that needs to happen.
Actually, no, for sure. And then once I'm bringing back my podcast this year, I'm going to have you guys on for sure.
Great.
We'd love to have you guys on. Let's do it. You know what? The more we can help each other grow, that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
We're like the mycelium. We connect to each other and then we grow out of it. That's what we want to do. So thank you guys for what you do. I'm really proud of what you guys are doing to be these honest, voices about people's change. And again, I know how much you guys love music and how beautiful music is, how it marries with psychedelics. So thank you guys so much for what you're doing. It's an honor, like I said, and a privilege to be here with you guys. I'm ecstatic for the invitation. And again, much love to you guys. Much love to everyone that follows you guys and listens to you guys. And let's be better people. Let's spread much love.
man.
Right
Yeah,
on.
And I look forward to the day that we get to give you a hug
Yeah.
in person.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And No Simple Road. Well, I was going to say No Simple Road. We'd like to take you to a fish show in the future. Or something.
Yes.
Oh yes. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Now I am going to be on your guys' side of the country Memorial Day weekend. I'm not sure if you guys have plans, but in Hollywood, it's going to be the Enchanted Mushroom Festival. Okay, EMF.LA. I'll be getting a chat there, but they want to take mushrooms and psychedelics in Hollywood. Okay, the Enchanted Mushroom Festival was this underground mushroom festival, and this year they said no, let's go.
We're coming
Hollywood.
out.
So,
Yeah.
Yes. So
Right
that'd be awesome if you guys could be down there. Again, it's just down the road, right?
Yeah. Right.
Just down the Pacific Coast Highway. You know what? I can't wait to see you guys in person, give you guys a hug, share this love that's there, and continue to grow.
All right,
Hell
brother.
yeah.
We'll talk to you soon, Cesar. You have a
Thank
wonderful
you,
Saturday.
Cesar.
man. Much love.
Thank you, guys.
Aw,
Wow.
we gotta go.
Amazing human being right there, everybody.
Yes.
That
Go
was
follow
amazing.
him. See the work he's doing. If you're around the Atlanta area, they're doing all kinds of meetups. So if you're like worried about like safe access and that kind of stuff, or just somewhere to go ask questions, find the psychedelic group in your city. Go seek the others out. And even if you don't know what I'm talking about, go sit at one of those meetings and just soak it up and listen with an open mind and see what's going on. And yeah, man, we love y'all. And if you need help, if you have questions, you can always DM us here
Reach out.
at No Simple Road, or shoot us an email at info@nosimpleroad.com. Apple, Mel, or I are happy to answer any questions you may
Absolutely.
have. We've been in this world. I've been in this world for 30 years and have know about it a little bit, I think.
A little bit, kinda,
So I
sorta.
know some stuff. So yeah, we love y'all, and we'll see you next week. Until then, take care of each other. Smile at a stranger.
Take care of yourself.
Third, and you know what? Go find out about something you didn't know about before with an open mind. Love y'all. Peace.
But it's a burden. Family needs has been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? One simple road. Shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A equal A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bruce.
And I'm Nolan, and this is the Corner of Gray Street podcast. As longtime Dave Matthews Band fans, we set out to create a podcast to dive deep into the past, present, and future of DMB.
Not only do we recap and review shows within an ongoing tour, but we revisit past shows from throughout the band's history, conduct interviews with a wide variety of guests with ties to DMB, and create unique and exclusive content like our Concerts on the Corner series.
Whether you're a fan of the band or just a fan of great music, we think you'll find something you'll enjoy. We can't wait to see you on the Corner of Gray Street.